There were 18 of us packed into the job site trailer, the smell of old coffee and plywood dust hanging in the air. Guys leaned against toolboxes, hard hats under their arms, joking and tired like always, until Lisa stepped up front. She didn't even look at me. Starting next pay cycle, executive salaries above 100 grand will be reduced by 60%, effective immediately, she said, calm as a surgeon. This includes myself and Daryl. My ears rang, not because of the cut. We'd hit hard seasons before, but because she dropped it like I was just another manager, not her husband, not the man who co-built this damn company from a garage with her. No eye contact, no warning, no conversation beforehand. People shifted in their boots. I saw Rick, our lead site foreman, glance at me with this awkward, "You good?" kind of face. My throat was dry, but I kept my voice even. "Mind if I take 24 hours to review that?" Lisa didn't blink. Of course. She turned and started packing up the meeting notes like she'd just announced a new lunch vendor. That was it. No private word, no explanation. Everyone filed out in silence, stepping around me like I was a wet floor sign. I kept my hands in my pockets, nodded at Rick on his way out. Lisa walked past without even a glance. I waited a few seconds, then slipped out the back door of the trailer. The alley behind it was where we used to smoke during late installs, where I'd helped new hires figure out punch list problems. Now, I just leaned against the corrugated siding, heart thudding in my ears. What the hell was that? 60%. In public, like I was some overpaid VP, not the guy who kept every job under budget the last 3 years. I looked up at the cloudy Indiana sky and tried to breathe. Quick note, before listening further, share which city or country you're watching from. I'd backed Lisa through every big move she ever made, even the stupid ones. When we bought out North Bend Roofing, that was my idea she took credit for. I didn't care, as long as the team was solid and checks cleared. But this wasn't business. This was personal. I kicked a broken pallet out of the way and walked back inside. Tomorrow, I'd give her my answer. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling the same question. How the hell did we get here? It used to be so different. Back when we started, we didn't have a trailer or payroll or custom-wrapped trucks. Just a beat-up Silverado, a whiteboard in her dad's old garage, and a couple of second-hand drills that overheated if you leaned too hard on them. That was 10 years ago, out in Bloomington. Her dad was a retired electrician who left behind a cluttered garage and a stack of old hand tools. Lisa had just finished her MBA. I'd been working framing crews since I was 18, bouncing between jobs, never loving any of them. "Why don't we do our own thing?" she said one night while we were splitting a six-pack in lawn chairs. "I've got the head, you've got the hands. We could actually make this work." I laughed at first. Then I thought about it. She wasn't wrong. We printed flyers at the library and handed them out at the hardware store. She handled estimates, I handled materials. She pitched the jobs. I built them with whoever I could pull in for day labor. Those first few months were brutal. We'd work 14-hour days and come home dead tired, then sit up with a laptop, building a website that looked like it came out of 2003. But we were all in. We'd kiss with dust still in our hair and joke about one day having a real office. Lisa was always thinking ahead. "We need exposure," she'd say. "Nobody's going to call if they don't know our name." She pitched local papers, volunteered to talk at Chamber of Commerce lunches, hired a branding intern the moment we cleared 50 grand in profit. Meanwhile, I was at the job sites from dawn till dusk, teaching rookies how to read blueprints, smoothing over mistakes with clients, hauling lumber when the delivery guys were late. I wasn't looking to be famous. I just wanted the work done right. By year 2, things picked up. Word spread that we didn't cut corners. Clients trusted me because I showed up, remembered their names, called them back myself. But the spotlight? It always landed on Lisa. She gave interviews on podcasts, showed up in the local top 30 under 30 list, posed for photos in hard hats she didn't wear anymore. At first I thought, good, let her shine. I didn't care. As long as the checks cleared and the team got paid, I could live without the credit. But slowly my name started disappearing. She stopped including me in planning meetings with high-end developers. I'd find out about new contracts after they were already signed. One time, a news article called her the sole founder of our company. I mentioned it. She just said, "People simplify stuff. Don't take it personal." But it kept happening. At company events, she'd introduce herself to new vendors like she ran the show alone. "I'm the owner," she'd say, "not co-owner, not partner." When I pushed back, she brushed it off. "You hate meetings anyway." And yeah, I did. I preferred talking to crews and walking builds, but that didn't mean I was invisible. I remember one night in year 5, we were back in that same garage, even though we had an office by then. I was fixing a busted sawhorse. Lisa came in, still wearing heels from some networking dinner. "I'm thinking about hiring a business consultant," she said. "Somebody who can take us to the next level." I looked up. "You already have that. It's me." She paused. "You're great in the field, babe, but we need strategic minds now." That one stung more than I let on. Still, I kept showing up. I trained every foreman we hired. I built trust with subs, ironed out messes on sites, made sure no job ran late. She built the name. I built the foundation. But somewhere along the line, she started acting like I was part of the labor crew, not her partner, and every time I noticed, I told myself it wasn't worth fighting over. We were building something. I just didn't realize she was building it without me. Now, standing in the silence after that trailer meeting, it all felt like a setup I'd been walking into for years. The signs had been there. I just didn't want to see them. I left the job site without saying a word to anyone. Drove straight down Route 37, windows cracked just enough to let the noise in. The radio stayed off. Our neighborhood looked like a damn catalog spread. Same 2-story colonials, same trimmed bushes, same beige siding. Normally, I didn't mind. That afternoon, it felt fake as hell. I pulled into the driveway, sat for a second with the engine running. Inside, the smell of reheated chicken pot pie hit me first. Emma was at the kitchen table, legs swinging under her chair, coloring. "Hey, kiddo," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked up and grinned. "Hi, Daddy. Look what I made." She held up the drawing. Her, Lisa, and our golden retriever, Max. The 3 of them were standing in front of our house. Bright sun, big smiles. I nodded, then looked again. I wasn't in it. "Before we keep going, quick check-in. Where are you watching from today?" "Nice work," I said, forcing a smile. "Looks like a happy bunch." Lisa came in from the laundry room, barefoot, wine glass in hand like nothing happened 5 hours ago. "There's leftovers if you're hungry." "Long day?" I opened the fridge, didn't answer. She sat down, scrolled her phone, then casually said, "I know today was rough, but it had to happen. We can't keep running fat overhead." "You couldn't have told me before the meeting?" I asked. She glanced up. "Would it have changed anything?" "It would have shown respect. At least acknowledge me as your partner, in front of the damn team." Lisa stood and walked over to the microwave. "It's not personal, Daryl. It's business. I took the same cut, didn't I?" "That's not the point," I snapped. "You announced it like I was a middle manager, like I haven't been running half this damn company." She let the microwave beep, didn't even open it. "You're making this emotional," she said, voice flat. "We needed to make a decision fast. I made it." I stared at her. "So that's it? I'm just another name on your org chart now." Lisa took her plate, sat down at the island, and started eating like we were just talking about the weather. "I can't hold your hand through every call," she muttered. "We've got different strengths. You handle crews. I handle strategy." I wanted to scream, but Emma was humming quietly, still coloring her picture. I chewed the inside of my cheek, walked to the back hallway, and shut the door to my office. The room still smelled like sawdust from when I'd built the desk myself. A stack of old project blueprints sat under the window, the original ones from our first dozen homes. My handwriting in the margins, notes to myself about inspections and ductwork spacing. I ran my hand over the paper. This was what I built, not her press quotes, not her Instagram posts and safety goggles she never wore. She didn't just cut my pay today, she cut me out. I stayed in that room long after the house went quiet, blueprints spread around me like a map of everything we used to be. I was still sitting on the floor, blueprints scattered around me, when I remembered Wyatt's message. It had come in a few weeks ago, something vague about grabbing coffee, catching up. I hadn't replied. Loyalty, that was the reason. Or maybe stupidity. I got up stiffly, grabbed my phone off the desk, and scrolled through old texts. There it was, second from the top. Wyatt Richards. Still got room for you at Ridge if you ever change your mind. He'd said it twice before, once after a supplier dinner and again at a trade expo in Indy. Each time I shrugged it off. I wasn't looking to jump ship. Lisa and I had built our own. But now? Now I was just another line item she shaved off the spreadsheet. I typed slowly, deleted, typed again. Me. You still hiring? Didn't even get up before the response came through. Wyatt. Been hoping you'd ask. Breakfast tomorrow? Our spot? 8? Me. See you there. I put the phone down and exhaled like I'd just dropped a damn weight. It didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like clarity. That night, I actually slept. I woke before the alarm, showered, pulled on jeans and my old navy hoodie, the one with drywall compound still crusted in the sleeves. Lisa was still asleep when I left. I didn't leave a note. The diner was 10 minutes down, off the highway. Same place Wyatt and I used to hit when he was just a lanky kid on my crew, hungry for work and always asking questions. He was already there, back booth, nursing a coffee and scrolling his phone. When he saw me, he stood, big smile, firm handshake. About time, man. Figured I owed you a breakfast or two. We ordered fast. Eggs, black coffee, no fluff. Then he slid a folder across the table. Field Ops Director, he said. That's what we've been holding. Salary solid. Company truck. Full say on crews and materials. You'd be overseeing 5 sites off the bat, and we're gunning for 7 by spring. I opened the folder. It was legit. Contract was tight, clear. Salary was more than I made before Lisa's stunt. And built on respect, not charity. There a non-compete problem? Wyatt asked, lowering his voice. I shook my head. She took it out 2 years ago. Said she trusted me. Wyatt laughed once, dry. Guess that backfired. I stared at the page. It was everything I'd been doing, just under a new roof. A roof that actually saw my worth. You don't have to answer right now, he added. Take your time. I grabbed the pen from his side of the table. No, I'm done waiting. I signed it right there between bites of toast. Not for revenge, not to make a point. Because it was time. Time to stop waiting for Lisa to remember who I was. Time to stop shrinking just to keep peace in a war I didn't start. As I walked out of that diner, sun already climbing over the parking lot, I felt something I hadn't in years, like the morning actually belonged to me again. Wyatt followed me out to the parking lot. Give me 5 minutes, he said, nodding toward his truck. We'd eaten at this same diner 100 times back when he was just a green kid with a bad fade and a ton of questions. Now he looked sharp, clean work jacket, company logo thermos in hand, actual confidence in his step. He popped the passenger door and pulled out a leather folder. Not some beat-up binder with loose papers. This looked like something a lawyer prepped. He handed it to me, like it weighed something. Everything's in there. Role, pay, benefits, roadmap to senior leadership. We built this with you in mind, Daryl. I opened it, scanned the first couple pages. It wasn't fluff. Director of Field Operations, I read aloud. He nodded. You'd oversee all active residential sites, streamline subs, train new leads. Exactly what you've been doing for years. Except here, you get the title and the pull to back it up. The salary was real. The benefits package beat what I had by a mile. More than that, it acknowledged the stuff no one ever saw. Late-night material orders, midnight patch jobs, walking clients through issues that weren't even ours. Is this a sympathy offer? I asked. Wyatt raised his eyebrows. You serious? I looked at him. I've seen you on job sites. You're the guy people follow. When you speak, crews listen, clients calm down, subs get their act together. That's not sympathy, that's leadership. He was right, and we both knew it. Your crews trust you more than half the damn GCs in this state, he added. You made me into the builder I am. You should have been running your last company, not getting shoved to the sidelines. I kept flipping. Clean structure, no vague crap. A clause about equipment budgets I'd been trying to push at my old firm for 3 years, already baked in here. And no non-compete issues? He asked. Nope, I said. She cut it out thinking I'd never leave, figured I'd die loyal. He chuckled. Guess she forgot who taught you how to swing a hammer. I looked back down at the offer. There wasn't a single sentence about corporate optics. No buzzwords about synergy or culture. It was built for someone who got things done. Wyatt took a sip of coffee. Look, man, you don't have to answer now. Take a few days. Talk to... I pulled a pen from my hoodie pocket. I'm in. He blinked. For real? Yeah, this isn't about revenge. It's time. He smiled wide and held out his hand again. This time, it felt different. Not like old friends, more like two men finally stepping into their own. I'll loop you in with HR today, he said. We'll get you keys, a laptop, whatever you need. Start date's yours to call. We walked back toward our trucks, shooting the breeze about upcoming builds, the mess with city permits, which suppliers were screwing people this year. Felt good. Easy. I reached for my door handle, then paused. You remember the North Vernon build? I asked. Course I do. My first foundation solo. You stayed on site until midnight, helping me fix that poor mistake. I nodded. That's what it's supposed to be about. Not press conferences and magazine spreads. Just getting it right. You'll fit in fine at Ridge, he said. I started the engine, backed out slow, watched the sun start to punch through the early haze. It didn't feel like a new job. It felt like finally coming home to the version of myself I'd been too damn patient with. I didn't rush. Next morning, I pulled on my oldest pair of boots, the ones with dried caulk caked into the sole, and buttoned up that old flannel with the torn cuff, the same one I wore when Lisa and I signed our first contract together at that beat-down breakfast table in her dad's garage. No tie, no clean shave, no illusion. I parked behind the main office where the subs unload materials, walked straight through the back door, past the break room where I'd once installed the cabinets myself. The office had changed. Everything in it screamed polished. Glass partitions, soundproof doors, one of those stupid digital espresso machines. I heard her voice through the wall, calm, clipped, talking numbers with HR. I waited. When the door opened, she looked up from her screen. Her hair was done, blazer crisp, heels off under the desk like she was comfortable in her castle. She barely blinked. You're in early, I nodded. Not staying long? She raised one brow as I stepped forward and placed the envelope on her desk. What's this? My resignation. She didn't open it right away, just stared at it like it was a prank. I'm giving 2 weeks, I said, voice steady. But I'll be out by Friday. I've already handed off my punch list to Rick. Lisa finally picked up the paper, opened it, read. Her lips parted, but nothing came out at first. Then, you're kidding. No. She stood now, crossing her arms, stepping around the desk. After everything we built, you're walking out? You made that decision for me in the trailer. That was a business call. No, that was you drawing a line. She paced once, then spun. Where are you going? I didn't say anything, just held her gaze. Her eyes narrowed. Ridge? Silence. You're going to rival Ridge? She snapped. That's right. She scoffed. Unbelievable. After everything you jumped to a competitor? I'm not jumping. I'm done. You just happen to have competition that knows what I'm worth. She stepped back, arms tightening across her chest. You signed a non-compete when we renewed your contract last year. Nope, I said. You removed it. Said it was unnecessary since I'd never leave. Remember? Her face fell. Just a flicker, but it was there. Panic. You're making a huge mistake. No, staying would have been the mistake. She looked like she wanted to throw something, but instead, she walked to the window and stood with her back to me. You're doing this to hurt me, she said quietly. I'm doing this to save what's left of myself. You're bitter. No, Lisa, I'm clear. She turned slow. You're not just a worker here. Was. I was your partner. You buried that a long time ago. The air in the office went still. She didn't speak, didn't defend herself, just stared like she'd been punched but didn't want to show it. I took a step toward the door. You lost more than an employee today, I said. You lost the man who carried the load you never saw. Lisa said nothing. I didn't wait for a goodbye. Didn't need one. As I walked out, I passed the photo wall. Used to be a shot of us framed in the center. First contract, grinning, both covered in sawdust. It was gone. Replaced with a glossy shot of her cutting a ribbon with some city official I didn't recognize. Figures. By the time I hit the lot, word was already moving. A couple of the guys out back looked up from a flatbed and went quiet. One of them gave a small nod. Not pity, respect. I climbed into my truck and pulled away without looking back. I wasn't hers to look at anymore. I didn't even make it 20 feet before the whispers started. Guys working the side lot glanced up from their lifts. A few paused mid-task. I heard my name under someone's breath. Not loud, but enough. Then Trent, the site lead from the South Project, crossed the pavement toward me, gloves tucked into his belt, boots caked in red clay. He didn't say anything at first, just stuck out his hand. I shook it. "Shouldn't have gone down like that," he said. I nodded once. "I know." He let go and turned back without another word. But that grip, it said everything. By the time I hit the truck, my phone was already buzzing. Missed call from Doug Carlton, client from 2 builds ago. Text from Maria, one of our best subs. I didn't answer right away. I drove straight home, no stops, no emails. It was 4:40 when I walked through the door, the earliest I'd been home in months. Emma was on the floor with construction paper all around her, glue stick in one hand, tongue poking out like she was building a rocket launch. "Daddy!" she yelled, jumping up. "You're home already?" "Yep, I got off early today." She ran over and grabbed my hand. "Will you help me with my project? It's due Friday, but I want to make it awesome." "For school?" "Yeah, it's about family. I'm making our house, with popsicle sticks." I smiled. "Let's build it right then." Quick break while you're here. Tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. We worked side by side for an hour, laughing, hot glue everywhere. I didn't think about Lisa once. That night, after she went to bed, I finally checked my messages. "Doug, heard you left. Call me. I've got something cooking and I want you on it." Maria, "If you're taking work, my crew's ready to follow. Just say the word." Ty from Lumber Supply, "You still managing jobs? I've got 3 vendors asking where you landed." I leaned back in the chair, staring at the screen. I hadn't told a soul besides Wyatt. Word was moving on its own. By the end of the week, I had 5 voicemails from clients I hadn't spoken to in over a year. Not a single one mentioned Lisa. They just wanted to know where I'd gone, who I was building for now. At Rival Ridge, I was already looped into team calls. Wyatt handed me a new site plan on Thursday and said, "Run it like you own it." Meanwhile, I heard through the grapevine that Lisa's firm lost 2 big subs, the kind that kept our timelines tight. One of our best framers pulled out of his next contract, and a major client delayed signing. I didn't celebrate, I didn't gloat. All I did was show up, and people noticed. 2 months in, I was reviewing change orders in the corner office at Ridge's South Indy site when Nicole from reception popped her head in. "Hey, Lisa's here," she said, hesitating. "She asked for you." I didn't flinch. "Send her back." She walked in slow. No heels, no makeup, no fake smile. Just jeans, an old hoodie, and a folder clutched against her chest like it was armor. "Can we talk somewhere private?" she asked. I stood, grabbed my coffee, and nodded to the small meeting room behind me. She followed, head low. Once inside, she sat without waiting to be offered. I closed the door, stayed standing. For a second, we just sat in the silence. The hum of the HVACs, the faint sound of hammers outside. "I never thought you'd actually leave," she said. I didn't respond. She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. "I mean, yeah, we had issues, but I figured you'd ride it out, like always." "Yeah," I said. "That's the problem. You counted on my silence." She winced, just barely. "I misread it," she said. "I thought we were still solid underneath it all. I didn't think you'd go to Ridge." "I didn't go to Ridge," I said. "I went toward respect, toward being treated like I mattered. You just made it real easy." Lisa's voice cracked a little. "You could have said something." "I did. You just stopped listening." She looked down at the folder, opened it, then closed it again without pulling anything out. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said, "about us, about how everything changed. You were always the one who held things together. I guess I started thinking that made you permanent, like you'd never walk. I was permanent until you made me disposable." Quick pause here. Drop a comment and tell us what you'd have said if you were in my shoes. Lisa blinked hard. "I didn't mean to cut you out. I got caught up in the growth, the pressure, the press. Your ambition wasn't the problem, Lisa. It was the disrespect. That shut her up. I walked over and leaned against the doorframe. You wanted to be the face of the company? Fine, you were. But don't be surprised when people stop asking where I went and just start following me. She looked tired. Not physically, like something in her had finally slowed down. Is there anything left to fix? She asked. I didn't hesitate. I've already started over. She nodded, not like she agreed, more like she understood that the door was closed and locked from my side. I never wanted to be enemies, she said. We're not. I opened the door. We're just not partners anymore. She stood, smoothed her sweatshirt, and walked out past the office crew like any other visitor. No scene, no drama, just gone. It didn't feel victorious. It felt like closure. The next year passed like framing a house in perfect weather, steady, fast, no wasted motion. I didn't just land at Rival Ridge. I took root there. Within 6 months, I was running 3 regional builds across southern Indiana, and by the 1-year mark, I had full oversight on the biggest residential expansion they'd done in 5 years. People stopped introducing me as the guy from Lisa's company. Now it was just, Daryl's running it, you're in good hands. I didn't chase clients. They found me. Didn't beg subs to follow. They called first. Meanwhile, her company shrank, quietly. No drama, no headlines, just a slow fade. The new hires didn't last. The senior project manager left. Vendors backed out. I heard she stepped down officially to focus on wellness, whatever that means. I didn't laugh, didn't smirk, didn't feel a thing really. I was too busy living. Emma had a rec league game that Saturday. I stood on the sidelines with a clipboard and a whistle while she sprinted around midfield like she owned the world. Afterward, we grabbed burgers and ice cream, then went home and ate at the dinner table, not the couch, not in front of a laptop. She told me about a group project, a spelling test, some kid named Nate who was apparently really annoying. I listened to all of it, every word. That night, I tucked her in and kissed her forehead. She whispered, I'm glad you're home a lot now. Me too, I said. Quick check-in. If you've watched this far, tell me in the comments. What would your 3 words be? Back in my office, I sat down at the desk, same one I'd built with my own hands years ago, and opened a fresh notepad. No logo, no branding, no page templates. Just a clean blank sheet. I picked up a pen. At the top, in bold letters, I wrote 3 words, built without her.